Before the US Open started, I made some predictions like I have been doing for the entire season at the Grand Slams. Did pretty good at Wimbledon, did pretty good at the French Open. Not great. You can all feel free to laugh at me in the comments, but let's go through these predictions. It's going to be bad. So Sabalenka, Swiatek, both have been playing really well at times this year. I'm going to go with Sabalenka though, doing a little bit better than Swiatek. Alright, so great start. Sabalenka obviously won the whole tournament. Swiatek made the quarterfinals, so didn't do too bad. Lost to Anisimova in the end, so I'll take that because it's one of the few points I'm going to get this week. So this is a tough one. It feels like the qualies are really tricky to pick because the ones that I wanted to pick have really tough first rounds. So I'm going to go volley nets on the women's side. And I'm going to go with Wong on the men's side. So unfortunately, volley nets, she lost in the first round. There weren't too many qualifiers doing well at this tournament, at least on the women's side of things. On the men's side, Wong made the third round, but I should have gone with Struff. He made it to the fourth round, lost to Djokovic in the end and got some big wins along the way. So, wasn't great to pick the qualies, but then again, the qualies didn't do so well at this tournament as we have seen in the past. So I'm going to stick with what I said at Wimbledon. I'm going to go with the USA. I don't know how you don't pick them. So again, no surprise they did well here because, they made the final with Anisimova. They've made the semifinals with Pegula. They had just so many players playing in America, so it was pretty easy to pick them. And they're probably the best country right now in tennis, if you look at the men's side and the women's side of things. So I'll take that one again, but it's kind of an easy pick now. So the ace count, this is a tough one because there's a few players that have been playing really well that have great serves. I'm going to go with Rybakina though on the women's side. I'm going to go with Shelton on the men's side. So unfortunately, neither of those players actually made it far enough to get enough aces, which is a bit of a shame. Shelton, of course, got injured, had to withdraw or retire through his match, and Rybakina ended up losing earlier than I expected. So Auger-Aliassime and Osaka were actually the top ace counters. They did make the semi-final, so it made sense, but yeah, a little bit of a surprise there. Wouldn't have picked Auger-Aliassime, but Osaka, man, I should have trusted her. So another big one, Sinner, Alcaraz. Who's going to go further? I'm going to go Sinner. All right. So now it starts getting bad. This is where you can all laugh at me. Okay, I went Sinner instead of Alcaraz. My reason was because of what happened at Wimbledon. Okay, in Cincinnati, I know he won at Cincinnati, but then again, it was a retirement. Alcaraz was just way too good. How good was he in that final? So I'll take the loss. You can all laugh at me down below. Unseeded players that are going to go on a run. This was a tough one. There wasn't too many unseeded players. All the players that I've been picking this year are all now seeded. I'm going to go with Vondroušova on the women's side, though. And I'm going to go with Fonseca on the men's side. So Vondi, she helped me out. She made the quarterfinals and did beat some of those seeds that I was a little bit worried about. Of course, Krejcikova also made the quarterfinals. So both of them were the best unseeded players on the men's side. We had no unseeded players in the quarterfinals and beyond. So you could have picked Manarino. You could have picked Rinderknecht. You could have picked Munar. You could have picked one of the qualifiers who made the fourth round. But yeah, no unseeded players really did well at the men's side. But I'll take the Vondi pick. Top 10 upsets. This is an interesting one because on the women's side, there's some players that haven't been playing well. So I'm going to go with Pegula. And on the men's side, I'm going to go with Musetti. So yeah, probably the worst predictions ever. But Pegula made the semis and Musetti made the quarters. And I didn't think Musetti would make the quarters. I thought for sure he hadn't been playing well enough, especially on a hard court. I was very shocked that he made it that far. But Pegula, totally underestimated her. I should have gone with Andreeva, who lost in the second round. Keys, who lost in the first round. That would have been a massive upset, and if I picked that, I would look like a genius, but instead, I look like an idiot. All right, dark horse picks. Who's going to go on a bit of a run? I'm going to go with Mboko. On the men's side, I'm going to go with Rublev. So, again, not great picks. Mboko lost first round. She didn't look 100%. She looked like she was a little bit sore, and she did have a really tough first round. Rublev did go on a run, but he didn't go as far as I needed him to go to count that as a pick. Of course, the obvious ones, Osaka, and I should have gone with Auger-Aliassime. Osaka was a no-brainer. I don't know why I didn't even pick her. I thought I would go on Mboko and sound smart, but FAA, I definitely didn't think he'd go on a run. So I'm not too mad about that lost prediction. So Gauff Rybakina, this is a bit of a strange one, but I'm going to go Gauff. And I'm not 100% sure. They both might lose in the same round. So this was a half a point because they both lost in the fourth round, like I was saying. So yeah, a little bit interesting to see that, they both made the fourth round. Of course, Gauff lost to Osaka. Vondroušova took out Rybakina. So look, I'll take the half point, which I think is the first time that's happened this year. to the semi-finals. Who do I think is going to make the semis? I'm going to go with Sabalenka versus Andreeva, which is a little bit strange, I guess, and Gauff versus Swiatek down the bottom. On the men's side of things, top half of the draw, I'm going to go with Sinner versus Zverev, and down the bottom, I'm going to go with Djokovic Alcaraz, which again, maybe no surprise. All right, so I got 1 out of 4 on the ladies' side. On the men's side, I went 3 out of 4, which again, I think I picked Djokovic, Alcaraz, and Sinner every single slam, so it's kind of automatic at this point. You just got to try and figure out who's going to be the fourth guy. But, you know, I picked Zverev. FAA took his spot. FAA actually beat Zverev to take his spot, so I'm not too mad at that. But on the women's side, I mean, Swiatek got replaced by Nisimova. Of course, Nisimova beats her in the quarters. And yeah, the other players, Andreeva, I should have gone with Pegula instead of Andreeva. I kind of went with a 50-50 there. I was leaning towards Andreeva because I didn't know if Pegula was going to do well. So, yeah, and Sabalenka obviously making the semi, so I'm not mad at that. But yeah, it was not a great semi-finals lineup to predict again. And the champions, this is, I feel like I picked them every single time. I'm going to go with Sabalenka and Sinner. So I'll take a point for that one. I mean, Sinner lost to Alcaraz. He made the final. You know, that was a 50-50 making that final, in that final anyway. And Sabalenka won. So at least, finally, after picking Sabalenka, I think 3 out of 4 slams this year, she finally makes me look smart. And I got that one right. So I'll take that to finish. But man, it was a rough set of predictions. And it was my worst by far. So there it is. Now is your time to laugh. I'll give you a moment to write down the comments below and make fun of me for my terrible predictions this tournament. But let me know in the comments below as well. How did you go in these predictions? Did you get it right? And I feel like it was a little bit tricky this time around. I mean, my, obviously French Open and Wimbledon predictions were so much better. Maybe it was a little bit more predictable at those tournaments, and maybe this tournament was a little bit more unpredictable. And we did have, we had the familiar names in the semis and stuff like that, but maybe it was a little bit more unpredictable on the other categories. But there it is. Predictions done for the season. US Open, my worst yet. Yay!